Duplicate transaction IDs. Yikes. This one can be bad. This usually happens because it happens in a couple scenarios. The most common one is that you render a transaction page multiple times and render the code that goes to Google Analytics multiple times. Now, Google Ads will do some deduplication on transaction IDs. Google Analytics doesn't care. So if you record the same transaction ID 100 times, it goes, that's 100 times the revenue, 100 times the products, and it's stuck in Google Analytics and now forever, and you can't filter it out of your reports very easily, and that sucks. So the ways to resolve this are, and let me talk about some of the ways this happens. Why would you reload a transaction confirmation page? So visitor might do this, might get to transaction confirmation page, press refresh or accidentally refresh or lose network connection and then refresh. If you render the transaction code again on a second page, then you will fire a duplicate transaction to GA. Now, the way to solve that usually, that specific scenario, is you do what's called if you can control the transaction confirmation page, you do what's called a session flash, which means you post something to the session when a transaction renders the first time that gets erased as soon as that page gets rendered. Then when somebody re-renders that page, there's nothing there. The transaction information can be there, but the thing that populates the data layer, that populates Tag Manager, that goes to Google Analytics isn't there and can't happen again. So that's the most common way to solve this, is with a session flash. Depending on your e-commerce platform, that gets implemented a few different ways, but that's usually the way you handle it. There's another way that this can happen. So sometimes you send after somebody loads up a transaction confirmation page, you send them an email. And that email says, thanks for ordering. If you want to check on shipping or if you want to check on transactions, if you have any questions about your order, go back and check out this link. And that link takes somebody to a transaction confirmation page again that shows maybe shipping updated statuses or shows a receipt. And if you fire the transaction again there, then that means you'll record a duplicate transaction. So this is not a good thing. There's a couple ways. So you got to fix the tracking, but there's a couple things you can do to resolve this. You can't do anything in the GA4 interface, but if you have the data on in BigQuery, which if you don't have it on, please get it on. It's the most useful way to use the analytics data ever. If you have that case, then what you can do is write some code. It's not very heavy SQL, but you can write a little bit of SQL to clean up that data that says, let's only take the first of a transaction ID, and any duplicates, we count those as events that didn't happen, and then we clean up our reports retroactively and in the future. So getting the data in BigQuery is a huge benefit here because you can clean up the data retroactively when you have something that happens like this inadvertently. The other scenario that happens once in a while is when the transaction ID is not a unique number. And sometimes that'll happen, like somebody puts a placeholder in there expecting to come back when they're doing the engineering code the first time, expecting to come back and replace that with a dynamic reference. Or they copy and paste the code from Google's site and leave the code that says insert transaction ID in the transaction ID. Then everything's duplicated. So you'd know that pretty right off the bat if that had happened to you. If you need help resolving any of these things, or if you want to talk about getting the data to BigQuery and then doing the manipulation of the data to get just some reporting in place, we've got super fast ways to get that done, and we've got some tooling even that helps you leverage that without writing SQL code. It's like magic. If you have any questions, give us a call. We'd love to chat.